You must reset your subconscious before making money and getting rich. Greetings to all dear friends and viewers. I'd like to ask everyone, is there a saying or a proverb that has influenced your life? There are 4 words that have helped me see through the mysteries of this world. Tom is a. Many people see this phrase as just a common blessing used during New Year's celebrations. But for me, these 4 words are a life motto, a crucial reminder. Thanks to them, I went from having nothing as a student to now living a life free of want. I came to understand this principle from a book called Meeting Myself Again by author Tram Lens Fun. It's no exaggeration to say that this book completely changed the way I perceive the world from the day I was born. It helped me realize that the gap between me and wealthy people about money, it's about the difference in our inner worlds. Did you know that each of us actually lives in 2 worlds? When we open our eyes, the world we see is the material world, or the external world. We often think this world is real, but in truth, it's not. The external world is merely a reflection. What truly determines our lives, whether we're rich or poor, happy or miserable, is our inner world, the one we feel when we close our eyes. So, what shapes our thoughts? The answer lies in our inner selves. If deep down you believe you're poor, your thoughts will be those of a poor person. You'll feel that luxury items have nothing to do with you, and you won't dare dream of owning them someday. As a result, you'll never seek ways to acquire them, and you'll remain trapped in poverty forever. When you fully believe and see yourself as a wealthy person, you will truly become one. The sayings of our ancestors always have a reason behind them. It's just that over time, we've trivialized them into mere well-wishes. When I started out with nothing, I grasped this truth from meeting myself again. So, if you ask me to recommend a book I hold dear, the first one I'd share is this one. Because no matter how many wealth-building techniques you learn, if deep in your bones you still carry the mindset of a poor person, you'll never escape poverty. It's absolutely true. Even now, though my income surpasses that of many, my business is thriving, and my investments keep yielding profits, my parents still carry the mindset of poor people. They don't believe what I've achieved is real, and continue living frugally, unable to adapt to my generous spending habits. But the truth is, the more I spend, the more money I make, while the more they save, the poorer they become. I once told them, only when you spend money does it truly belong to you. Later, when they watched my videos, they began to partly understand why I can earn money, but they still couldn't change their habits. Do you see it? This is what we call the subconscious, the power of the inner self. In essence, meeting myself again teaches us how to transform our subconscious, to turn our dreams into reality. In today's video, I'll first share a story from Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki to help you better understand the subconscious. Then, I'll freely and fully share what I've learned from meeting myself again, hoping to help you break free from a poverty mindset. But before we begin, I want to emphasize one thing. This channel was created to share wealth-building mindsets for entrepreneurs, investors, and affluent individuals. If you'd like to receive free insights on these topics, please subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications. I sincerely wish everyone who likes this video achieves financial freedom soon, and I hope you'll share it widely so more people can benefit. In Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The author also touches on a similar concept about the power of the inner self and the subconscious. Many might not know this, but Robert once had an out-of-body experience during a military mission in his youth. While piloting a helicopter on duty, the engine suddenly failed. In such a life-or-death situation, most people would panic and despair. But at that critical moment, Robert's soul seemed to detach from his body. Some spiritual masters call this becoming the observer. In that instant, he felt as though he was in another dimension, seeing himself and his crew from the outside. Time seemed to stop, yet he wasn't afraid. On the contrary, he felt calm, filled with compassion and love. He described how, in that moment, he focused entirely on the present, transcending the constraints of time. Just as the helicopter was about to crash into the water, he adjusted the controls and saved himself. In my understanding, at that moment, Robert wasn't thinking with his rational mind, but with his heart, his subconscious. That's why he could calmly handle the situation and survive. This is the power of the Spirit. You might find this too mystical and hard to grasp, but after hearing the next story, you'll see the difference between thinking with your mind and thinking with your heart. Here's the story. Each of us is actually a little angel who fell to earth. At that time, God needed volunteers to come down and build a paradise here. But he warned that it would be an extremely difficult task. Many angels didn't understand why it was so hard. One of them asked God, and he replied, "Because I've given humans a brain." The angel was puzzled. "What's wrong with that?" God explained. "When humans have a brain, they let it control everything and gradually forget about paradise. The first thing parents do is teach their children to think like them. Then, at school, teachers define what's smart and what's foolish." The angel asked, "So our mission is to overcome the brain's control. Remember, we're angels, and strive to create paradise on earth." God said, "Exactly." The angel asked again, "But what if we don't remember?" God replied, "If you don't, you'll keep dying and being reborn, cycling through reincarnation until you realize who you truly are." If you're familiar with Buddhism, this might remind you of the concept of the 6 realms of samsara. Many misunderstand reincarnation as going to hell to suffer, but it's not that. It's simply an ongoing process of cultivation in life until you reach enlightenment and become a Buddha. The success and wealth of many people in Buddhist terms aren't random. They have deep causes. Back to the story. God said, "When humans come to earth, they'll be taught to pray. That's how they communicate with me. But when they pray, only they speak." "I don't," the little angel asked. "Then, how will you talk to us?" God answered, "I'm always with you and speaking to you, but you no longer hear my voice, only when your mind is still. When you're truly quiet, will you realize I'm beside you? When you merge with everything around you, you'll feel my presence." What do you notice from this story? That state of stillness, that detachment of consciousness, is something anyone can achieve through an activity, meditation, or what Zen Buddhism calls Zazen, sitting meditation. Meditation trains you to observe your mind and bring it to a state of calm. Some might wonder, Is this really useful? If you're asking that, you're thinking with your rational mind, based on what you've experienced. People, things, scientific theories, all external information perceived through your eyes. You believe seeing is believing. But in reality, your eyes can't see the essence of things. For example, when judging if someone is good or bad, do you rely on your eyes or your heart? At first, you might see a handsome, polite, mature man. But after some time, though you can't explain it, you feel something off about him. Eventually, you discover he's a terrible person, a deceitful man. This is why so many women fall for bad men. They look with their eyes and think with their minds, not their hearts. Robert achieved that detached state without meditation, because he thought with his heart, not his mind. His will to survive wasn't just for himself, but for those around him. Even in the midst of war, he strove to create paradise on earth. War and peace are two sides of the same coin. I firmly believe Robert is an enlightened person. Many successful people in the world are enlightened. So, what's the purpose of meditation for us? From Steve Jobs of Apple to Elon Musk of Tesla, basketball legend Michael Jordan, they all practiced meditation. Steve Jobs even had a dedicated meditation space in his office. Whenever he faced a big decision, he'd lock himself in to meditate before deciding. Why are these people so exceptional, creating so many miracles? Their inspiration comes from within. What we call intuition is actually born from your subconscious. If you believe the stories I've shared, when you meditate and your inner self is still, God is with you, and you'll instantly gain insight. That's true intuition. Recently, in an elite group I joined, a member shared a method that inspired me. He records situations from his dreams, then writes down personal reflections. When emotions surge, he asks himself, what am I feeling now? What caused this feeling? By following this chain of thought, he quickly regains calm. I find this method simple and practical, helping us dialogue with our subconscious, so I want to share it with you. I know many still doubt the power of the inner self, finding it too abstract. But not only Robert, many great successful people have spoken of this. Books like The Law of Attraction also discuss the power of the inner self, the subconscious. Meeting Myself Again explains it clearly. Do you know what the subconscious really is? The greatest difference between people lies in their inner worlds. We live in two worlds. The material world we see when we open our eyes, perceived through our 5 senses and body, and the inner world. Many religions say the external world is an illusion, a fleeting dream. So, what truly drives our behavior? What's the hidden law behind human actions? Meeting Myself Again reveals that the external world we see isn't the absolute reality. It's a reflection of our inner world. Simply put, it's like looking in a mirror. The image is a reflection of you. Likewise, the external world you live in reflects your inner world. Thus, what truly determines your life, wealth or poverty, happiness or misery, is your inner world, what you feel when you close your eyes. So what is the subconscious? Is it the thoughts we have during a test? No, many confuse this. Those are rational thoughts, not the subconscious. The subconscious is the perceptions you absorb unconsciously, deeply ingrained in your mind without you realizing it. It's the thought system formed within you that you're unaware of. This book helps you explore and recognize your inner consciousness. Take an example from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The difference between the rich and the poor lies entirely in their mindset. If you see yourself as poor today, when you see an LV bag, you'll say, "I can't afford it." But a person with a rich mindset asks, "How can I afford it?" What creates this vast difference in thinking? It's the subconscious. Most people's inner worlds are shaped from birth. Parents educate, or even unconsciously brainwash, their children to become like them, to stay poor. From a young age, they teach us to conform, sending us to kindergarten and school to receive the same education, molding us bit by bit into a single-type employees. So, when most people look into their inner world, they feel ordinary. If you feel lacking, if you see a world full of poverty and disease, when you open your eyes, you'll unconsciously create, or rather, attract, a world of darkness, poverty, and illness. Conversely, children born into wealthy families, taught by private tutors, with a mindset of training them to be rich, grow up with an inner world full of abundance. As a result, they create a prosperous, fulfilling world. Here's a fact. 3% of the world's population owns 70% of its wealth, because their inner worlds overflow with richness. TV dramas are fake. There aren't many carefree, spoiled rich kids. In reality, the rich get richer, and the poor get poorer. All because of the difference in inner strength. If you study Buddhism, this aligns perfectly. All things are created by the mind. The ancients said, "Appearance follows the heart." This is why I believe in physiognomy. Your face reflects your inner self. Many people think they can't succeed, that they're just ordinary. They blame being cheated by partners or their parents for not giving them a good environment. But that's not the root cause. It's their inner world not being strong enough, their subconscious telling them they're average. The subconscious drives consciousness. Consciousness drives behavior patterns drive emotions, and all of this determines a person's level. Many want to start a business to change their lives, knowing it's the only way to shift their fate. But their subconscious tells them they're ordinary and can't do it. I've talked to people like this and found their subconscious thinking follows this pattern. Starting a business is hard. The risks are high. Only 3% succeed. I'm not special, so I can't be in that 3%. This mindset stops them from acting. They give up before even trying. I've said it bluntly. Do you get it? If not, I'll give another example. In a book, an old man tells the protagonist a story. A horse pulls a carriage forward. The horse thinks it decides the direction, but there's a driver who believes he's in control. The old man asks, "Who really decides the carriage's direction?" It's neither the horse nor the driver. It's the passenger who paid for the ride. If the passenger wants to go east, the carriage can't go west. The first time I heard this, I was stunned. If you've read this book, you'll understand why it hit me so hard. I realized who I truly am. Think about it. You're the carriage, but who's controlling you? The horse, the driver, or the passenger? Humans have 3 selves. The ego, outer self, the true self, and the higher self. The horse is the ego, charging ahead without caring about others. People who commit crimes or regret their actions, like abusers who hit their spouses or kids, are controlled by the ego. It strips them of reason, driving them to act on fleeting emotions. These people only care about themselves, not others, so they're easily swayed by feelings and act impulsively. They're prone to mistakes and regret, and they'll never succeed. You must never become like that. We need to learn to control our ego. Next is the true self. Like the driver, a higher version of us, overcoming animal instincts to become rational humans. What's humanity? It's when someone doesn't just think of themselves but cares for others. Today, many haven't truly lived. Why? As kids, you live for your parents, at school, for your teachers. When married, for your spouse with kids. For them, you've never had a day truly living for yourself. Those overly controlled by the true self fall into endless suffering and conflict because they've never lived for their own desires. Lastly, the higher self. Let me ask, what are you living for? What do you want most? Cars, houses, money? No, the purpose of life is to pursue a feeling, not joy, but bliss. What's the difference? Joy comes from external triggers. Buying something new makes you happy, but it fades. Bliss is different. It comes from within, unaffected by money or circumstances. It's a true state of awakening. Those who maintain inner bliss are enlightened. They're full of positive energy, not elated by wealth nor diminished by lack. They're not swayed by the external world and stay at peace because they know nothing outside matters. Only inner bliss does. If you always feel unlucky, get angry at how others treat you, or regret losses, you're not enlightened. You're still ordinary. Life's purpose is to find your higher self within. We must meditate. The Buddha meditated under the Bodhi tree for 49 days, realizing all is one, everything is mind-made, and awoke. Thus, the heart is key. Remember, your subconscious isn't in your brain. It's in your heart. Modern people favor the mind, but ancients valued the heart. The heart is the only organ connecting us to our higher self and subconscious. What forms first when a sperm meets an egg? The heart. What's the only organ that never fails or gets cancer? The heart. As long as it beats, you're alive. When it stops, life ends. Even vegetative patients with no brain function are alive if their heart beats. So, everything and everyone around you reflects your inner world, like a mirror. When something external shakes you, look within. Ask, what part of my soul is stirred? What shadows haven't I resolved? Don't waste energy on the outside, for what can't be changed. Adjust within, then focus on what can be altered externally. All suffering comes from not understanding ourselves and blindly chasing things that don't define us. If your joy depends on external factors, when they're gone, so is your joy. But bliss arises from within. No one can take it. A person full of positivity attracts good things. One full of negativity draws misfortune. Like attracts like. Mastering your inner strength is crucial. It determines your success. Time's limited, so we'll stop here. I share free knowledge on becoming rich, entrepreneurial, and financially free. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this video. I wish all who like it achieve financial freedom soon. If you find even one or two helpful ideas here to improve your life, I'm fulfilled. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, and see you in the next video.